次、あれ ?4 が割率漢方か。ヘリコバクターパイローライがやったね。Nitroglycerin. Alright, Wonders of Medicine, Unit 7. Respiratory disease that reduces the threat of tuberculosis. Cough infection,咳infection causing lung high sputum, cockton, tuberculosis, 結核. Approximately 42,000 new cases of tuberculosis were reported in Japan in 1997. That marked the first increase in 38 years. Tuberculosis cannot be called a disease of the past any longer. Tuberculosis is a contagious bacterial disease that usually affects the lungs. In many cases, the body's immune system destroys the bacteria before it does much damage. Only a scar or spot is left on the lungs as evidence of the infection. Sometimes, however, the infection spreads and causes a variety of symptoms, including coughing, fatigue, fever, sweating at night, loss of appetite, and weight loss. The bacteria may also pass from the lungs through the lymphatic system, the dark bones and joints, kidneys, or brain on the spinal cord. Occasionally, the bacteria remain dormant in the lungs for years, flaring up again to do further damage. Left untreated, tuberculosis may eventually cause death. A tuberculosis patient is usually treated with 2 to 4 anti-tuberculosis drugs. The reason multiple drugs are administered is that this helps overcome the danger that the bacteria may develop resistance to one of the drugs. The drugs act either by directly killing the bacteria or by preventing them from multiplying. Some anti-tuberculosis drugs may cause reverse side effects, such as nausea, vomiting, and abdominal pain. Because of this, special care is needed when taking these drugs. Drug treatment normally continues until the symptoms have subsided, and laboratory investigations such as sputum tests have shown the person to be clear of infection. The treatment usually takes a long time, sometimes more than a year. Conditions in Japan now suggest that the nation is at the critical point in its fight against tuberculosis. There has been a vast increase in the number of patients infected by multiple drug-resistant strains. One reason for this is that many tuberculosis victims didn't complete their treatment and consequently the bacteria that remained became resistant to current medications. Now a great deal of research is underway to develop drugs effective against multi-drug resistant tuberculosis. It is hoped that the advent of such drugs will represent the final victory in the fight against this stubborn troublesome disease. Unit 8 Anti-anxiety agents. Clinical application means that the use of medicine for a practical purpose. Adverse effect, unfavorable result. Metabolism, that means that the chemical processes necessary to maintain an organism's life. Medication means that the medicine given to people who are ill. Symptom means that a physical condition that shows you may have a particular disease. Anxiety is a normal emotion that all people experience to some extent. Indeed, anxiety is generally seen as an essential part of the adaptive response to stressful or threatening stimuli. An appropriate amount of anxiety heightens caution and awareness in potentially dangerous or stressful situations, and so constitutes part of the fight or flight response. The bearing manifested in this anxious state is somewhat difficult to define, but may be described as a sense of unpleasant anticipation and excessive mental tension. Most people accept occasional anxiety as an integral part of normal life, but a significant number of individuals experience anxiety that is chronic, uncontrollable, and completely out of proportion to the generating stimulus. In such individuals, anxiety has ceased to serve an adaptive purpose. It has become a pathological, or in other words, an anxiety disorder. Generalized anxiety disorder (GAD) is defined as excessive anxiety and excessive anxiety and worry occurring more days than not for a period of at least 6 months. The anxiety is accompanied by at least three of the following symptoms: restfulness, fatigue, impaired concentration, irritability, muscle tension, and sleep disturbance. The anxiety is uncontrollable and causes clinically significant distress. GAD has a lifetime prevalence of 6 to 10%, and the U.S. National Comorbidity Survey (NCS) study indicates a high comorbidity with other psychiatric disorders, especially depression and panic disorder. Throughout history, humankind has used a variety of different agents to relieve anxiety. The oldest one of these is probably alcohol, which has served as an anxiolytic for thousands of years, and is still widely used for the self-medication of anxiety to die. In the first century, a number of and in the first century, a number of central nervous system CNS depressant medications have been introduced, beginning with ethanol surrogates such as chloral hydrate, barbiturate, carbamate, and bromide salt have also been used. Although these agents are known to produce a significant sedative effect, they have been associated with more serious drawbacks such as the risk of dependency, high toxicity in overdose, and the potentially further interaction with alcohol. At present, a number of drugs with various mechanisms of action are available for the pharmacotherapy of anxiety disorders. Those with the most widespread current clinical use are Valium, Librium, Transient, Ativan, Xanax, to name a few. These drugs have brought peace to individuals that would otherwise be tormented by excessive stress in everyday life. What even indicate respiratory disease that initiate threat of tuberculosis.
Unit 7. Respiratory disease. The renewed threat of tuberculosis. Reading. Approximately 42,000 new cases of tuberculosis were reported in Japan in 1997. That marked the first increase in 38 years. Tuberculosis cannot be called a disease of the past any longer. Tuberculosis is a contagious bacterial disease that usually affects the lungs. In many cases, the body's immune system destroys the bacteria before it does much damage. Only a scar or spot is left on the lungs as evidence of the infection. Sometimes, however, the infection spreads and causes a variety of symptoms, including coughing, fatigue, fever, sweating at night, loss of appetite, and weight loss. The bacteria may also pass from the lungs through the lymphatic system to the bones and joints, kidneys, or brain and spinal cord. Occasionally, the bacteria remain dormant in the lungs for years, flaring up again to do further damage. Left untreated, tuberculosis may eventually cause death. A tuberculosis patient is usually treated with 2 to 4 anti-tuberculosis drugs. The reason multiple drugs are administered is that this helps overcome the danger that the bacteria may develop resistance to one of the drugs. The drugs act either by directly killing the bacteria or by preventing them from multiplying. Some anti-tuberculosis drugs may cause adverse side effects such as nausea, vomiting, and abdominal pain. Because of this, special care is needed when taking these drugs. Drug treatment normally continues until the symptoms have subsided, and laboratory investigations such as sputum tests have shown the person to be clear of infection. The treatment usually takes a long time, sometimes more than a year. Conditions in Japan now suggest that the nation is at a critical point in its fight against tuberculosis. There has been a vast increase in the number of patients infected by multiple drug-resistant strains. One reason for this is that many TB victims did not complete their treatment and, consequently, the bacteria that remained became resistant to current medications. Now, a great deal of research is underway to develop drugs effective against multiple drug-resistant tuberculosis. It is hoped that the advent of such drugs will represent the final victory in the fight against this stubborn, troublesome disease.
2. Listening comprehension. 1. Question response. Listen to the questions and possible responses. Choose the best response to each question.
1. Which organ do tuberculosis bacteria affect first when they infect the human body?
A. The heart. B. The kidney. C. The lungs.
2. What kind of test is likely to show a person to be clear of tuberculosis infection?
A. A blood test. B. An eye test. C. A sputum test. 2. Short conversation. Listen to the 2 short conversations. Then choose the best answer to each question below.
1.
Is your father still in the hospital?
Yes. I'm not sure when he will be released.
It's been more than a year now since he came down with TB, hasn't it?
Yes. The drugs didn't agree with him. In fact, they made his condition worse.
1. What does the woman say made her father's condition worse?
2.
Wow, that's a lot of tablets to take at one time.
I know, but the doctor says these tablets will clear up my tuberculosis.
You look terrific, by the way. I hope you are completely recovered soon.
Thank you. I hope so too. The doctor says I can leave the hospital within a few weeks.
2. When is the woman likely to leave the hospital? 3. Dialogue.
What was the result of my daughter Mary's tuberculin test?
It was negative, so I recommend that she get a BCG vaccine inoculation.
BCG vaccinations are given for tuberculosis prevention, right?
Prevention.
Yes, they are. The number of tuberculosis patients has vastly increased recently, and about 16% of the new patients are children under 15.
But doesn't the BCG vaccine have risks?
It's been proven safe, but make sure Mari doesn't have a cold or the flu when she gets her shot. Unit 8. Anti-anxiety agents. Reading. Anxiety is a normal emotion that all people experience to some extent. Indeed, anxiety is generally seen as an essential part of the adaptive response to stressful or threatening stimuli. An appropriate amount of anxiety heightens caution and awareness in potentially dangerous or stressful situations, and so constitutes part of the fight or flight response. The feeling manifested in this anxious state is somewhat difficult to define, but may be described as a sense of unpleasant anticipation and excessive mental tension. Most people accept occasional anxiety as an integral part of normal life, but a significant number of individuals experience anxiety that is chronic, uncontrollable, and completely out of proportion to the generating stimulus. In such individuals, anxiety has ceased to serve an adaptive purpose. It has become pathological, or, in other words, an anxiety disorder. Generalized anxiety disorder, GAD, is defined as excessive anxiety and worry occurring more days than not for a period of at least 6 months. The anxiety is accompanied by at least 3 of the following symptoms: restlessness, fatigue, impaired concentration, irritability, muscle tension, and sleep disturbance. The anxiety is uncontrollable and causes clinically significant distress. GAD has a lifetime prevalence of 6 to 10%, and the U.S. National Comorbidity Survey (NCS) study indicates a high comorbidity with other psychiatric disorders, especially depression and panic disorders. Throughout history, humankind has used a variety of different agents to relieve anxiety. The oldest one of these is probably alcohol, which has served as an anxiolytic for thousands of years and is still widely used for the self-medication of anxiety today. In the past century, a number of central nervous system (CNS) depressant medications have been introduced, beginning with ethanol surrogates such as chloral hydrate. Barbiturates, carbamates, and bromide salts have also been used. Although these agents are known to produce a significant sedative effect, they have been associated with more serious drawbacks, such as the risk of dependency, high toxicity, and a potentially fatal interaction with alcohol. At present, a number of drugs with various mechanisms of action are available for the pharmacotherapy of anxiety disorders. Those with the most widespread current clinical use are Valium, Librium, Transene, Ativan, Xanax, to name a few. These drugs have brought peace to individuals that would otherwise be tormented by excessive stress in everyday life.
2. Listening comprehension. 1. Question response. Listen to the questions and possible responses. Choose the best response to each question.
1. Who occasionally regards anxiety as a necessary part of everyday life?
A. Some people do. B. Almost all people do. C. Nobody does.
2. What has man traditionally used to get rid of anxiety?
A. Valium. B. Antibiotics. C. Alcohol. 2. Short talk. Listen to the short talk. Then choose the best answer to each question below.
Today, 25% of all medicines used by society are made from the same plants that were first used in traditional medicine, and scientists believe they have just scratched the surface of the plant world's potential as a source of drugs. For example, one Chinese herbal remedy has recently been found to be effective against varieties of malaria that have developed resistance to other drugs. This herb could end up saving 1 million lives a year, mostly among children.
1. How many medicines are made from plants today? 2. How many lives could one herb eventually save? Unit 9.
処理性。
Chemotherapy. An old treatment with new hope.
マジ。そういうことか。それで取っていけばいいのか。そうね。そうやって、できゃいいのか。トイックテストって。トイックテスト取れそうだな、そう考えると。真下に単あり、強々しまん、目言、両芸術監督で司る、伏量軽視白術感想。水六章を持ってにて三章を取る、若茶畳め三複す、正面、すなわちリス。それ短期、美因あり、まさに小便によりてこれを去るべし、両芸術観とこれを司る、人気眼、またこれを司る、描写、脈譜、その人、自利、星、自利線と星、帰って心よし、リスといえども、進化続きて、剣満、これ、流因、さらんと、欲するなり、これがすがゆえなり、関畜、関髄、半下と、これを司る、関畜、半下、関髄、半下と、関髄、半下、芍薬、関素、右四味、水二章を持って煮て、半章を取り、かすを去り、蜜、半章を持って、薬十に和し、煎じて八号を取り、これを頓服す。その脈、しかして、かつ、陰を破られる。脈、弦、作、関陰あり。峠、知識がし、峠は知識がたし。脈、鎮にして弦なるものは、剣陰内通す。剣陰病むものは、十層とこれを司る、右三味、月古い、水一升五合をもって、まず、火なる大層十枚を煮て、八合を取り、かすを去り、薬末を入れ、 狂人は一戦費を服し、類人は反戦を服す。平坦に、これを音符す。くだらざる者は、明日さらに反戦を加う。会下を得て、後、美塾にておのずから養う。逸因を病む者は、まさにその間を発すべし、大清流とこれを司る、小清流ともまたこれを司る。魔王、慶子、関祖、教人、小教、大宗、石膏、右七味、水、九章をもって、まず魔王を似て、二章に現じ、上末を去り、諸薬を入れ、にて三章を取り、カスを去り、一章を音符す。美、時間を取る。美、時間を取る。間大きいものは、音符にてこれを打つ。間大きいものは、音符にてこれを打つ。小清流等の方、魔王、芍薬、五味子、環境、関祖、最新、慶子、本下、右、八味、水一章をもって、まず魔王を似て、二章に現じ、上末を去り、諸薬を入れ、似て三章を取り、カスを去り、一章を音符す。サラテベ。入れた方がいいのかな。こんなものが。ちょっと。よし。シウとアタウと司るホス。カンシーン。各関死因その人、各関死因その人、全満し、進化被験し、免職国、免職霊国、その脈賃金。これを得て数十日、これを峠、 言えず、目、ボーイとこれを司る。これを遂げして言えざるは、目、ボーイとこれを司る。供するものは、すなわち、実するものは三日にまたはす。また、与えて言えざるものは、目、ボーイと今日、石膏か、仏領、帽子とこれを司る。木、ボーイとの方、木、ボーイ、石膏、軽視、人参、右四味、水六升を持って煮て二升取り、若茶ただめ再服す。木、ボーイ、今日石膏か、仏領、帽子と木、ボーイ、軽視、帽子、人参、仏領、右五味、水六升を持って煮て二升取り、かすを去り、帽子を入れ、再び微洗し、若茶ただめ再服す。ビリすれば、すなわち言う。かかん。進化に真あり、その人、暴言、して苦しみ、託者とこれを司る託者と託者、白術、右二味、水二升を持って煮て一升取り、若茶たため再服す。進化に真ありて、その人暴言に苦しむは託者とこれを司る。右に水二升を持って煮て一升取り、若茶温めて再服す。真に共慢する者は、公木大王とこれを司る。公木大王と公木大王期日。二三味水五升を持って煮て二升を取り、若茶温め再服す。二九一。二葉の平病、太陽の小闇、ただ情熱を発し、手足集中として簡易で大弁難にして戦後する者は、これを下し、すなわち大乗気等によろし。陽明病脈不にして筋、陰喉乾き、口苦く、腹満して全子発熱し、簡易で、悪感せざるせず、かえってお熱、身重く、もし発汗すれば、すなわち乾き、心、快、かえって戦後し、もし新規を加うれば、必ず術、半層、して眠ることを得ず、もしこれを下せば、一中空虚、各期、各道、身長のし、絶上、 対するものは死死死とこれを司る。陽明病、脈不にして金。喉乾き、口鈍く、含まして前者発熱し、簡易で悪寒せず、かえってお熱し、身をもし、もし発汗すれば、すなわちそうし、心快快として、かえって戦後す。もし、小、心を加われば必ず熟着し、搬送して眠ることを得ず、もしこれを下せば、すなわち意中空虚し、各気、各に動き、心中をのす、絶情に体あるものは、死死とこれを司る。もし、貸して水を飲まんと欲せざる者は、口、管、絶相する者は、白虎か人参とこれを司る。もし、貸して水を飲まんと欲し、口乾き、舌はしゃぐ者は、白虎か人参とこれを司る。白虎か人参とだ。もし脈不発熱、貸して水を飲まんと欲し、小便利せざる者は、除霊とこれを司る。陽明病、簡易で、化する者は、いずることを多くして化する者は、除霊塔を後べから去るなり。多ければ、一中乾く、はしゃぐ乾く、除霊塔またその小便を利し、するがゆえなり。利するを持つがゆえなり。脈不にして鎮、氷熱利寒。下痢清国のものは、死逆とこれを司る。もし、一中、虚霊、食すること当たざる者は、飲水すれば、すなわち、脈不、発熱、口乾き、微相。食することを当たざる者は、よく食す。よく食する者は、すなわち熟す。陽明病、これを下し、その害に熱あり、手足温、結局せず、心中のし、気すして食することあたわず、ただ等間いでる者は、死死とこれを司る。陽明病、これを下し、その害に熱あり、手足温に、結局せず、心中をのし、飢えて食をあたわず、ただ等間いずのみ、等間のみいずる。ただ等間のみ、ただ等間のみ、ただ等間のみ、いずる者は、死死死とこれを司る。陽明病、長熱を発し、大便通し、小便、おのずからか、 狂慢、狂慢、さらざる者は、詳細ことこれを司る。陽明病、狂か敏慢し、大弁せざりをし、絶情白体ある者は、詳細ことは遠べし、上昇通絶心益、下すことを得ず、息、忘るをもって、心愕然にして、間入れる解なり。間入れて返す。陽明病、狂高慢し、代弁せずして応し、そして応し、絶情白体の者は、詳細ことは遠べし、上昇通ずるを得、心益下るを得、息もってよってわし、息もってわし、気もってわし、心愕然として、間意で返すなり。そんな僕ある語ること。174239ああ、その一種を測り、字を加えてもって、その義を諦む。変論、鈍兵士、義、愛、渡らず。その義、愛、渡らず。名目を経路する者は、地類を区分し、目を分かちてもって編集に関す。 目を分かちて、もって変種に関す。君臣の臣もにして、大義の、相逸失する者は、損費を公々し、増益してもって、その意を諦む、作官。細分。作官。細分。前後の長寿する者は、損費を公々し、増益して、作官三分長寿。その出資をつまびらかにし、間雑息して、もってその用を損す、自利秘密にして、荒く論述しがたきものは、別に言授をせんし、もってその道を述ぶ。およそ加うる自ところの字は、皆その分を主張し、古今をして必ず分かち、字を入従者つならしざらしむ。権限を不調すること、列挙の高く関わりて、そうだ、鏡に額のせみたいな。よって方言ごとし、 最長不等源泉輪中へ新鮮修例君子に用を非なく真かに遠慮の用法あり。こうしていたらずらに誤ることなからしめ、学ぶものをしてこれに諦め、指導る講師品位内職して潜在の後まさに大勢の時期の極まりなきことを知らん。